August 18th, 2020, and we are live this morning to talk about all of your political news and headlines to get your morning off right to the right start. Let's see, today we are talking about the very first day of the 2020 Democratic National Convention, which began last night. Right off the bat, it was a very unusual convention. Usually these two-party conventions happen to a lot of pomp and circumstance, and the Democrats held their convention in a virtual setting. This was a live streamed setting that really was a departure from the ordinary method of doing things where there are large crowds and all-day programming. And of course, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, they were required to move this into an all-digital setting. So the entire program was a much more like some sort of digital telethon than it was the usual live event that we are used to. We have a lot of people joining in. Jason Carter, good morning. Peter Bittner, hello. Mark Goldman, hi from LA, Seattle. It's good to see you all. Right off the bat, I was really interested to hear your comments today about what you thought of the first night of the Democratic Convention. Did you miss the ordinary pomp and circumstance, the fanfare, the huge crowds, the cheering between each speech that gave it this very exciting live feel? Or did you feel like you were able to connect to the speakers and the messages much more when they were really focused and directed right to camera? Good morning to Christopher Drago and Sarah Bonner, who are joining us. What are you guys thinking about the first night of the Democratic Convention? So right off the bat, there were a few major highlights that I wanted to talk about with you guys that really were the headlines of the night. Now, first was Senator Bernie Sanders. So Senator Bernie Sanders gave a very impassioned and unifying speech in which he called on his supporters who supported him both in 2016 and in this 2020 Democratic primary that was held from really over the last year and a half up through January, February of this year. He asked his supporters to really unify around Joe Biden, and he said this is not a normal choice. What we're facing right now is an authoritarian takeover of the United States, and that if we value democracy, if we value any progressive policies or ideals, that Joe Biden was the choice. He really laid out a very convincing and well thought out, well written speech. Now, there has been a lot of, in the past, there's been a lot of criticism of Bernie. People felt that after Hillary Clinton won the 2016 Democratic nomination, that there wasn't enough done by Senator Sanders to support her candidacy, and that the 77,000 votes that were lost in 3 battleground states in 2016, we're talking Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, those were states where had Senator Sanders done a little more, maybe Hillary Clinton could have pulled through with a few more votes in we're talking 1 or 2 votes per precinct in those states to pull through a win. And whether or not that criticism is valid or not, Bernie Sanders put that to rest last night in what was one of the better speeches I thought of his political career, where he talked about the importance of electing Joe Biden. Christopher Drago says he loved it, Michelle's speech in particular. Now, we're going to talk about Michelle. So greetings from Chicago, says Mikey Abozo. Thank you, Alex, for today. Hi, Mikey. Let's talk about Michelle Obama. Now, Michelle Obama gave an electric and historic speech last night that was really something extraordinary. It's not something we've ever seen before, to have a former First Lady talk in such candid terms about not so much the policy positions of Joe Biden or about the policy positions of his opponent, Donald Trump. It was really an indictment of Donald Trump's character. It was a speech that was very candid. It was even emotional at times, but it was very direct with the United States of America about the dire circumstances we're in. Now, we're not used to having first ladies speak about a sitting president in such damning terms, but really it was something else. And there was a moment of the speech, the quote of the night from Michelle Obama that got a lot of attention was Donald Trump. This is a quote from former First Lady Michelle Obama. Donald Trump is the wrong president for our country. He has had more than enough time to prove that he can do the job, but he is clearly in over his head. It is what it is, she said. And people, that really resonated with a lot of people. This went pretty viral. So the speech was pretty unusual. Like I said, we're not used to having first ladies talk about a sitting president in this way. That was so. She really took the gloves off, and any political capital that she really has, she really used on saying, like, this is not normal. And what we're seeing is chaotic and divisive. And she really laid out a really electric and historic speech that people really responded to. And people online seem to agree. Nico says FLOTUS gave the speech of our lives. I agree. I thought it was historic. If you have a chance to catch it, please do. It was something to behold. What did you all think about Michelle Obama's speech? Did it reinvigorate this Democratic party base ahead of the November 2020 election, especially when it appears that we've got an all-out assault on the election by Republicans? We've got really an assault on vote by mail voting, which during a global pandemic is going to be necessary for many people to stay safe and be able to practice, stay active and participate in their democracy. Whatever you think, let me know, because we are heading into night 2 of the Democratic National Convention tonight. We've got some exciting headliners for the night. We've got Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is speaking tonight at the night 2 of the Democratic Convention. We've got former President Bill Clinton. We've got some comments. Christopher Drago says, yes, it was riveting. She said what needed to be said. Sarah Bonner said Michelle Obama was the highlight of the evening. She nailed it, and I believe it will reach many. Yes, thank you. We agree. So tonight, AOC and Bill Clinton will be up for the Democratic National Convention, which is exciting news. What are you looking forward to? Is there someone in particular that you'd like to hear from that you feel like you're not hearing from? Aside from this, the United States Postmaster General is facing increased criticism and scrutiny. There have been protesters outside of Louis DeJoy's house in North Carolina who are really taking him to task for his attack on voting. Peter Bittner says, I heard AOC just has 1 minute. I believe it's true, but this got a lot of attention yesterday, but if you watch the way the convention was set up last night, it seemed like there were a lot of very notable people who only had 1 minute or 2 during interstitial segments. And I think that that's because this year's convention is only really 2 hours per night versus the usual, like I said earlier, pomp and circumstance where there's like 10 hours of all day programming. So even the headlining speeches were not their ordinary length. So I think that that's just sort of the way that this is being set up this year. Dustin Gullidge says Obama was magic. I was reminded of what America could feel like. Gave me hope. Can't wait for Hillary on Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday night is also the night to look forward to. We've got Nancy Pelosi. We've got Hillary Clinton. We've got Elizabeth Warren. It's going to be an very star-studded female, a night of powerful women, which is going to be exciting to see. So there's increased pressure on the United States Postmaster General, Louis DeJoy. People have been protesting outside of his house, and he has agreed to appear for a U.S. House Oversight Committee hearing next week as lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have voiced concern over the direction of the U.S. Postal Service. So this very important story to watch. Very important that we have the U.S. Postal Service funded and operational ahead of November. So let's keep an eye on that news. This has been the AM Report with Alex Mahajer. We do 10 minutes of your morning news and headlines every morning, your political news to get your day started right for HAPS TV. If you are interested in following this content, please consider sponsoring this journalism at HAPS TV, haps.tv/@AlexMohajer. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Some more comments here. Nico says it was much needed perspective and inspiration to reinvigorate and spark an urgent call to action Our words need to translate to actions and vote. Christopher Drago, hope they keep the pressure on. And say hello from Melbourne, and very glad you guys joined this morning, and we will see you tomorrow morning. Thank you so much.